Genoa. Okay, so we are now ready. Mr. Alberto Pozzobon, Marketing Manager of the Ports of Genoa, will be the moderator of this focus on sustainable routes. Alberto, if you are ready, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Really thank you for being here today for this short talk on sustainability. Sustainability in transport and logistics are concepts that are more and more closer. And whether you are a port authority like me, who I'm the marketing manager of the Port Authority of the Western Ligurian Sea, or whether you are a terminal operator, a freight forwarder, a transport company, you always have to deal with the sustainability issues, whether it is green transition, compatibility of activities with respect to the of transport and logistics activities with respect to the cities and the territory, generating value for the communities, or renovating facilities and reusing, reconverting facilities for new use while reducing the carbon footprint of our sector. So today we have the opportunity to exchange, share views with some of the most important players of our cluster. We have, first of all, Mr. Roberto Ferrari, who is CEO of PSA Italy. We have Gianpaolo Botta, who is the director of the Shipping Freight Forwarders Association of named Spediporto. Riccardo Marchesi, CEO of Pecorini Silocaf, based in Trieste and in Vado Ligure. And Stefano Negrini, founder and principal of Relog 3P. First of all, I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Signorini, the president of the Port Authority, for his opening remarks.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this seminar. I think that we don't need any more words to stress the importance of the argument of the topic of sustainability. I stroll around the exhibition and I have seen that there are at least 4 or 5 seminars going on now on the same topic. And that means that it is not just a goal, it is not just a target that we have in our agenda, it is something that it has become mandatory for all of us, for everybody that works in our supply chain, transport chain, logistic chain. This topic, of course, has been dramatically speeded up by the energy transition. What we are facing today is that we have to cope these two different factors. On one hand, we want to accelerate on our vision of a more sustainable world. On the other hand, we need to find the right pace because we still rely on a fossil fuel economy. We are moving towards renewables, towards new technologies, but it may take some time and we need to find the right place. Otherwise, the green sustainability is going to eat the economic sustainability and the social sustainability. And that's one topic that we have to face. The second is the second remark I would like to make is that all the ports are equal, but some ports are more equal than others. That means that if you are a port that was born in the Middle Age or even before, you are completely embedded in a town and you have some requirements in order to comply to sustainability, which of course are different from another port which makes the same operation, but it is in the middle of nowhere. So they have to comply with many regulations, but not as many, not the same regulation that you have in a town. And that's something that has to do with a level playing field. And I think that this is something that we face today between different continents, but also between different states and with different areas, and that means ports in the same country. The final remark is that something that every one of us can read on the newspaper every day, and that we are always struggling for the best technology, the best solution in order to be more sustainable. And so we have cold iron, as we say in Italy, but shore power, as they say worldwide. We have GNL, we have new fuels, we have hydrogen, we have ammonia, we have all sorts of different things. If we keep following this solution in a fragmented way, every member state has its own solution, every port has its own solution, it's going to be very expensive, not sustainable from an economic point of view. Each of these investments may cost up to 40, 50 million euros in one port. At the post of GNL, shore power, at least 40, 50 million in each port. And you don't reach a level playing field. You don't reach a situation where this kind of solution is widespread, is mandatory for all the ports, for example, in Europe. And this is a race to the bottom. It is not a race to the top. Those are, for me, three very important elements. I'm sure that in the afternoon, we will hear much more interesting topics about the issue, but I'm very happy that I've shared these views with you, and I wish you a very nice afternoon with our other speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Signorini. Yes, I think that the final remark is really important. The idea that the sustainability goal can be reached only through a systematic approach, a cluster approach, where every actor cooperates in order to deploy the best solutions for any issue. On our panel, we also have Lelio Fornabaio, Executive Vice President of PTS Class, and Francesco Barontini, Principal, PTS Class. I didn't forget about them. but I just consider them as a sort of colleagues because they've been our companions during the creation of our sustainability report. As a Port Authority, we decided last year to embark into the adventure of accounting our actions towards sustainability. And here today, we can present you the result or the highlights of our activity. So for any one of you who's interested, you can pick up one of these brochures who are the highlights of our sustainability report. We can go on with the slides. I don't want to bother you with the figures or giving too much enter into details of our study. I would like just to point out that we have tried to make a recognition of any action that the Port Authority has undertaken towards the different dimension of sustainability. Of course, very important for the Port Authority is the economic dimension, which means generate value for port cluster and for our region. We have measured the impact of our port cluster on the Ligurian region and of the state. You can find the figures in the brochure, and it's really important. We are the leading Italian port in terms of traffic, but also in terms of economy generated. Of course, one of the main topics of our report is environmental sustainability. In this case, the President already mentioned some of the actions we have taken in this field, trying to look at new energies, both in terms of supply to ships, for instance, and of improving our power supply networks inside the port towards smart grids and towards the construction of a port which is able to produce more and more the electric energy that it needs for its functioning. Then, of course, we have social sustainability. It means every action that we are taking in order to strengthen the relations with our territory, towards the young generations. We are port towns. Genova and Savona are port towns where ports are present since centuries, but in many cases, most of the people who live in our towns don't know much about what happens inside the port. And this is something that as a Port Authority, an issue that we try to solve, trying to get the people closer to our port environment, to know the activities that take place, what kind of high-level technology is applied within our terminals, so that younger generation can learn that in the port there might be their future. Then, of course, another great important field is organizational sustainability, which means improving the way we operate as an organization and the way we dialogue with our stakeholders, both in case of we talk about the public, so the dialogue with the public and with our the stakeholders of our clusters. So in this case, very important is the digitization of dialogue with our stakeholders. Next step, please. So this is where we begin. Actually, this is the first step we have taken in our action of reporting. We decided to ask our stakeholders which, in their opinion, were the priorities that the Port Authority should have addressed in terms of sustainability. And these were the answers. So top 4 priorities. The first one was health and safety in port. So this is in the case of social dimension, this was the topic that, according to our stakeholders, was the one where we should address our efforts in order to improve. In terms of economic sustainability, market development was the top rated priority. And in this case, the actions taken by the Port Authority that in order to achieve this goal are both the development of port structures, which we have talked this morning, and also immaterial actions like giving efficiency to the port cluster through digitization and also improving the relations with our markets. So today we are acting in this way with our presence here in Germany. Of course, in terms of environment, energy efficiency is the goal that our stakeholders have given us. And in this case, as I told before, we are working a lot in terms of improving the, for instance, the capacity of the port, the ability of the port to produce energy from solar panels or from wind turbines in order to towards the green transition of our port clusters. And in terms of organization, what we were asked to do is to simplify our procedures and to improve the digitization of our administrative way of acting. And this is something that we have tried to improve both through the development of IT systems meant to improve the efficiency of cargo flows through the gates of the ports, and through the deployment of a system, an informatic system that allows the public to talk to the Port Authority in a digital way, reducing and simplifying the procedures. Okay. Every other detail about our sustainability report, you can find it in the brochure. And if you want to even go in deeper details, you can, through the QR code, also reach the complete study that is available on our website. Now, I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Fornabaio, who, as I mentioned, with his staff in PTS class, gave us support in the production of this study, and also backed the action of different other Italian port authorities in the production of their own sustainability report studies. So today, he can present us a sort of benchmarking analysis between among the sustainability reports, the findings of the sustainability reports of some different Italian ports. So, Lelio, please, the floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you.
So, thank you, Alberto. It's with real pleasure for me, and also is an honor to be present here in Monaco to talk about sustainability policies in Italian ports. PTS, which is a leading Italian consulting company, specialized among other things in the infrastructure and transport sector, has conducted a study on sustainability reports published by some Italian port, which is one kind of a benchmark that today we present here to you, just to make a point of the progress of sustainability in the Port Authority. That is a significant benchmark for the importance of the port involved in terms of volume managed and for the number. As we will have the opportunity to better represent shortly, the issue of sustainability is increasingly an important element in the growth and positioning strategy of the Italian Port Authority. I would like to say that sustainability now is focused on the materialities of analysis that the various port is conduct. And two are the most important element that we represent today: the economic impact and the energy efficiency. We will also talk about during the roundtable that will follow the presentation of our study. I would like to anticipate two aspects. The first, the port authorities are an engine of economic development of the territories in which they operate, both with regard of the revenue they generate from, of course, of the movement of traffic, and with regard to investment in the port infrastructure. Being sustainable from an economics point of view also means having tariff in line with the market that is increasing global and competitive, and having efficiency in infrastructure able to respond to the ever-changing needs of operators who are also focused on the sustainability policies. The second aspect is on the safety. The safety of all those who operate within the port, which is not only the safety of workers, but is above all linked to having environment conditions that improve the workplace and transit and make the port become more and more a safe place where development and progress are the goal of all workers and the port companies. At hand, there is the last important things is which we would like to do, starting from Genoa, and of course extend for all the authority, which making and report of sustainability of cluster, because of course the port authorities is the center of an economy which is much more large. So all the cluster, and now we are some representatives, are involved to make an consolidated report of sustainability of the cluster. That could be the new approach, just to integrate the position of the port authority and all the stakeholders that are involved. Thank you very much. I leave now for the presentation. Thanks a lot.
Grazie Lelio. So thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Alberto. Thank you very much, Lelio. So just a few slides to present to you a benchmark analysis on sustainability reporting of port authorities. As you know, in 2022, all the Italian port authorities presented all the Italian port authorities presented their sustainability reports. So we took 9 sustainability reports of different port authorities and we compared them. And what I'd like to point out is that the methodology that was applied was the Global Reporting Initiative methodology, that is the most consolidated one. And what I'd like to start to highlight is that each president expressed the strategic priority for sustainability in the sustainability reporting, and we have some common features. And here you can see some of them. I mean, all the ports are working for reducing the negative impacts on the cities produced by transport activities. All the ports want to exploit the Recovery and Resilience Facility as an instrument for implementing sustainable goals. All the ports are aware about their impact in terms of economic development of the territories. This is also shown by the materiality matrix. Here we have used 9 materiality matrix, and you can see that economic goals and environmental goals are on the top level in orange and green. So looking in detail at the economic sustainability, some figures. Ports are engines of the economic growth of the territories. Here you can see some figures about the incomes produced by port authorities, and the majority of them are produced by their core activities, port taxes and concession fees. And they are engines for the territories also in terms of investments for the development of the infrastructure. And you can see that the reporting sum around 1.3 billion of euro of investment in 2021 in infrastructure development. So they are very strong and relevant engine for our economy. So if we go to the next slide, this is related to the environmental sustainability. In the left side, you can see the energy consumption of port infrastructures. And on the right side, you can see the emissions produced. And you can see that, I mean, they are relevant. However, what we understood is that by today, no consolidated methodologies are applied for the estimation of the emissions and of the energy consumption. That is quite simple. Somewhere they calculate the emission of a perimeter of the port, somewhere of another perimeter of the port. The parameters that are used to make these calculations are quite different. So this is something that must be developed. However, some message. Emissions are mainly produced by maritime activities. So maneuvering of the ships and anchoring of the ships, while landside activities are not so big in terms of emissions. Energy consumption is determined by, of course, they are infrastructures that need energy. So all the maritime activity is also fed by energy provided also by land, by the land side. So if we go to the following slide, we can see the investments that are reported for the environmental sustainability, for implementing a new way to reduce the environmental impact of the port. You can see that in terms of investment, cold ironing is the priority, or shoreside electricity, as the president said, but also solar, wind power, energy production, also hydrogen, also electric vehicles for landside activities. So if you go the following slide, we move to social sustainability. This relates to the functioning of the port authority, the role of the port authorities. Port authorities are governing bodies which stands on top of terminal operators, which have, of course, obligation in terms of social security and workers' security. Port authorities are involved in inspections, in developing protocols, in making training, monitoring, and also monitoring the obligations of the concessionaires in terms of social security. In 2021, 88 accidents in ports were reported in the sustainability reports, and the majority of them are of minor relevance, okay? That is not so bad. But I'd like also to point out the 3,000 inspections that were realized in this year inside the ports. So last slide with some relevant messages. Sustainability policies. What the president said is that the sustainability policies are different among the countries. What I'd like to point out is that they are arriving. Sustainability policies today are set by the Marpol Convention of the IMO. They are set also by the European Commission with the directive on alternative fuel, with the EU trading emission standards. So sustainability regulation is growing and is arriving. Lastly, in order to better develop this activity and these policies, goals and objectives must be set by each port authority, but also by the ministry, by the European authorities, because this is something that today is missing. That's all from my side. Thank you very much to Alberto and the Port of Genova.
Thank you, Francesco. I think your analysis was really very, very interesting. We will have to study all the issues that you have highlighted, and to in order to improve our way to act towards sustainability, and also to improve our way to report what we are doing. Now, I would like to pass to the second stage of our panel, the one which involves the operators, starting from Mr. Ferrari. So, Mr. Ferrari, you are the head, the CEO of PSA Italy, one of the most important terminal operators in Italy, and you're part of a group, PSA, which is present all over the world. So the first question I would like to ask you is how much sustainability impacts on the business of your company and of your group?
Good afternoon, everybody. I would say that you don't have to consider, we don't consider sustainability as a cost, but as an investment, because it's a matter of set up or a set of value to align the value of the company considering sustainability. Sustainability, in my opinion, will become an opportunity, a business opportunity as well, because all the logistic chain is measuring our services, considering sustainability as well. How we produce, how we can save the production of CO2, which opportunity we give to the local environment, to the people that live over there, and how can we improve the lives of everybody. So this is we consider an investment, sustainability. So we are doing all this action worldwide. We have a commitment to cut the CO2, 50% of CO2 within 2030. We are replacing all the diesel equipment with the electric one. We are spending on the local environment most of our resources to buy product in the local territory. So we provide opportunity to the people and to the company that works in the local territory. So, and we set up green services. As we said this morning, we are setting up train and we are providing opportunity from South Europe or North Europe, but closer to the marine gateway in order to save CO2 production. So it's a matter of to change the mentality, to change the approach, and it's not just a theoretical exercise, but it's a matter of to change the mentality of our company, of the people that works with us.
Thank you very much. So I think this is a great attitude, yes, and the best way to realize, to achieve the sustainable goals that then have an impact on the life of every one of us on our planet. So going to Gianpaolo Botta, do you agree with Mr. Ferrari? I mean, you are the director of the Freight Forwarders Association, so you are in the middle between cargo owners and transport service providers. So maybe you are the one who received the most pressure from cargo owners in order to set up a transport services which is sustainable. What's your opinion?
Yes, for sure, and I agree with Mr. Roberto Ferrari. But first of all, let me express my personal thanks to our president, Mr. Signorini, and all your team for organizing this spectacular moment this morning and today, because this demonstration that our community want to change the mentality, and the mentality is the base of all big change. And and this is a very important aspect, because when you ask me about the relation between the forwarders and the terminal operators as the medium part between the market and the logistic providers, I can say yes, of course, we are in the middle, but we received a lot of suggestions from our clients and necessity. And so we can translate this necessity in service. And I have to say that in the past 10 years, PSA Group and all the terminals in Genoa has the sensibility to change their approach with the market and with the forwarders, creating more moments in which we can share some aspect about our strategy for the future, for create better service. And in this, for this way, we can offer to the market solutions that are more sustainable for the market. So the same word sustainable, sustainability, is the combination of sustain and ability. No? And for sustain something, we have to change your mind. And the ability born from the sharing of the partners in some deals. So I think that we have a lot of work to do in the next years, but the approach that we have with this problem is the correct. We have the sense of community, and we put on the table everyday problems, but at the same time, so we put the effort to find solutions. And one of the biggest solutions that we have found in the last years regard the technology and digitalization, and I see that it's very important that your report underlined this aspect. And so that's what we are doing daily with all the operators.
Thank you, Mr. Botta. Now I would like to move a bit towards west to Valladolid or east, I don't know, or worldwide, because we have Riccardo Marchesi, who's part again of a group which operates worldwide logistics services for different commodities, one of which is coffee. So again, this is a very peculiar field where I think you meet a different kind of issues in terms of, I mean, probably labor rights in origin countries of your products, and of course, transport, environmental issues during transport. And so, would you please share your views with us?
Alberto, Mr. President, first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm the only person from Trieste, I think, around the table. So, first of all, sustainability is very important because I think we have a responsibility towards the future generations. This is the first important thing. As Pecorini, you mentioned, we work with a product like coffee. Coffee is produced between the tropics. So now and also in the future, the point will be always transported mainly to consuming countries, which are Europe and the States. So this, for sure, in terms of CO2 emission, is a big point. And as they were discussed before, investments in technology, they can reduce this emission, because this is a big topic. And I think every player along the supply chain has to do his own work, his job at home, because for sure we can improve things, investing money, but and I think on the pressure will remain there. It's not just a topic for the moment, but I think it's also for the next future.
Thank you so much. So I think all of you have stressed that sustainability is not something compulsory because due to regulations, but it's an attitude, an approach that every one of you and your companies have clear in mind, that it's a goal for the future of our planet, of the future generations. So I think this is very, very important. Mr. Ferrari, so among the activities you have implemented, of course, maybe even intermodality can be seen as a way to reduce the impact of the transport activity in terms of carbon footprint. So I think in a few minutes we will discuss this topic, but if you want to anticipate something about your
as you correctly said, we are implementing some intermodal services from South Europe to Genova. And one of the goals is to cut CO2 footprint and to improve the situation. The market is following this trend because everybody is under pressure about this, and it will be even more in the future. Our goal is to provide a new, reliable, and efficient opportunity to the market, even to reach this goal, because it's very important now to put these new services in the market.
Thank you. Of course, improving the efficiency of the supply chain is something that helps to be more sustainable. So digitization of engineering of processes and digitization is, I think, a way to improve the efficiency of the transport chain. So, Gianpaolo, what do you think about this, and what kind of?
Yes, of course. The digitalization is one of the topic of the last few years, and as you know, and we invest a lot in the Port of Genova in relation of digitalization, and now the Port of Genova can say without problems that it's the first port in Italy to have a PCS with all the services that can be shown in all the occasion, and we have to be proud for all the work that we have done in the last years. And in that right direction, the community, the port community, has done all the best that we can have and to offer to the market, because we have improved a lot of new services. We have improved the digitalization between the common and the daily business, and especially regarding the traffic and the truckers, and that probably they have received a lot of facilitation, and we discovered that we have done it. But it's tangible that every single day the digitalization is one of the topic point that our community want to achieve for the future, to improve what we have, especially with regarding the integration that we have to study about the big platform of ICT that guarantee good service, sustainable and recyclable system of economic strategy. So this is what we are doing with our day-by-day business. We try to integrate our system, local and national system with the Port of Genoa. We spend a lot of time development in new services, and I think that the future we can have big surprise for the community of international operator, because we deeply believe in our e-port and ensure that we will have a lot of news for the future.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Riccardo, now I've worked a lot my past role as development manager of the Port Authority of Savona years ago on the development of the Vado area. And I remember there was a problem there, an old silo between the sea and the logistics area at the back of the port. And that represented a question, an issue to be solved, because probably that the facility should have been demolished with an economic investment and with a lot of a big impact on CO2 emissions, of course. But something happened, I think. Riccardo, can you tell us something about this story?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we have to remember that Italy is the second importer after Genova for coffee. Coffee roasters in Italy, they did very well in the last 20 years, exporting more than 50% of the coffee that is imported, roasted, and then is exported in worldwide. That's in Genoa, Savona, Vado is the first port in Italy in terms of volume is imported. So as a group, because you mentioned before, our head office in Trieste, but we invested all around the world. And since the 2000, we are investing in Liguria. But in the past, we invested mainly in warehouses, which is a traditional way of handling coffee. We had this opportunity. There was this, which is also, if you look at one side, is very sustainable, because this grain silo built in the 60s, the idea was to pull it down. It was a problem, an issue. And so we transform it, an issue, to an opportunity. Because the main roasters are based in Piedmont and Lombardia, the richest regions in Italy. And we decided to invest and revamp or transform this old grain silo into a brand new coffee silo, dedicated silo. What are the advantages? First of all, I said we have big clients in Lombardia and Piedmont that are naturally linked to Genoa ports. The container terminal, we have a Vado Ligure new container terminal plus a PSA container terminal that is only 35 kilometers. So in terms also of CO2 emissions, we have a very short distance to be covered from the ports to the silo. A container can carry 20 tons. We receive 20 tons, but we ship to our clients in silo truck 30 tons, which means that we can reduce by 50% the emissions. Why? Because instead of sending the full container, we send a silo truck that can carry 30 tons. And this, you can see, you can change also the slide. You can see from this picture that the silo is really next to the terminal. Has also the advantage to be very close to the railway system. At the moment in Italy, is not like in Northern Europe. On this, we have to catch up. In Northern Europe, it's quite common to ship, instead of trucks or silo trucks, ship railway by rail coffee. And until now in Italy, it's not feasible, because also many of our clients, they are not railway connected. So we can do it only in an intermodal way. But I think we have to look at the future. If you look at the railway, just past 15 meters from our silo. So the next future, we have an operation, for example, in Antwerp. In Antwerp, it's quite common to ship coffee by rail. Of course, it's a new investment, so we invested also in all the electrical motors are new technology, so they consume much less. The Rich Taker is a Euro 6, again, less CO2 emissions. And in the future, we hope to invest in Rich Taker, electric Rich Takers, which is already feasible, for example, in China. For the time being, these Rich Takers are not allowed to be imported, for example, in Europe. It's a matter of time. So it's this, I think, it's important. It's an investment for us. It was a very important investment, but at the same time, has a big impact in terms of sustainability, in terms of emissions. Maybe you can also go down. We can show some more pictures. This is the height is 45 meters. We can store 30,000 tons of coffee. It's more or less under $50 million value. This is another image where you can see the railway system and the terminal next to it. And these are the main features of this plant.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think it's really a valuable example of a sustainable initiative, both in terms of economy, because of course, the value that you have generated in Vado Ligure. You haven't talked about people that work in the silo, but I think
because and also, for example, to run this silo, we have 20 direct employees, and sometimes they'd say the companies they don't employ people on the long term. We have a contratti determinati. I don't know how to translate it, but it's 20 people plus stevedores, plus what goes around it, custom clearance and tracking companies. So there is a from a silo that had to be pulled down to an investment like this. There is a quite difference. The same.
yes. So yes, really a good example of how you can reuse old facilities that and reinventing a new function, reducing carbon footprint and improving sustainability. Okay, so thank you very much to all of you. I would like now to leave the floor to our last panelist, who is Stefano Negrini. Stefano has long experience in the shipping side, and now he is the founder of a company who is trying to develop solutions in order to give support to companies in the logistics chain to improve their way towards sustainability. So please, Stefano.
Yes, thanks also from my side, Alberto, and to the Port Authority for this opportunity. Indeed, we have a long-lasting experience, 30 years of experience within the ports and logistics. And 2 years ago, we decided to set up our own company with a specific purpose to work on the sustainability aspect that is the subject of this panel. So the target of the company is to support and to accompany the customers that works in the end-to-end logistic and supply chain in being able to actively contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. The previous panels made several examples on use cases, on needs, on ideas. That's exactly what we want to combine into our action. But let's make a step back because to solve issues, first of all, we need to understand what we are talking about. And I would like to introduce some number for the purpose. We all know that 90% of what we use every day flows through the global logistic. And within this 90%, 80 to 85 goes through ship, equal goes through ports. Yet, of this 90%, nowadays, over 60% is still handled in manual mode. Or in the best ways, we are talking about phone calls, emails, PDFs, you name it. Also, we talk about big data, but in the logistic and supply chain, less than 10% of the data available, which by the way are still limited in quantity and quality, are currently used for the purpose of improving processes, improving sustainability. So we are talking about obsolescence and obscureness of data and information. We heard the president mentioning fragmentation. Indeed, our business still today is extremely complex, fragmented, silos-based. In average, each shipment involves more than 40 different international stakeholders, languages, standards, and for such shipment, plus than 5,000 interactions are performed. So what we normally say is that our industry is nowadays, unfortunately, still in the Flintstones age. We need to move on if we want to cope with the targets on sustainability that we are talking about. One last set of consideration, because we heard about sustainability, not only from the environmental perspective, but from the social indeed perspective and from the economical perspective. When we talk about, let's say, the economical perspective, we are driven by a number of factors. Here, I just want to highlight, as it was mentioned in some of the panels before, that there is an increasing set of existing and upcoming regulation that all our businesses has to cope with. I will not name it, but they are costing money to our business. From the social perspective, we heard safety, and we are here bringing some number about introducing innovation cost to businesses, something like 70% of our workforce to be upskilled within 2027. This is a huge chunk of people. Last but not least, logistic is not a one chain, but is a global end-to-end business. 10 to 20% of this business is contributing to the CO2 globally nowadays. So all of these are unsustainable costs, obviously, that we are bearing today. And that's why actually we created our startup, as I mentioned before, with the ambition to support such businesses in coping and simplifying, as we heard at the beginning, and increase the sustainability. How do we aim to cope with our talk and walk our talk is via a digital platform that we have developed and we are launching on the market for the purpose, which aims to be a one tool for our customers. So simplification at first, because fragmentation, complexity makes very difficult to, even if somebody wants to do something, to do something. So first of all, we want to create one single entry point for our customer to simplify the process and to take them by hands into the journey towards sustainability. So we act as a middleware toward the customers and provide them services via partners. We also heard by the president that collaboration, cooperation is often mentioned, is something we cannot do without anymore. So what are the services that currently are foreseen in the platform? Start, let's say, from the social aspects with what we call Wikilogy, which is an awareness increasing to share with our customer what are the existing tools, standards, policies, and so on and so forth. We mentioned 70% of the workforce being endangered, so we have an academy to cope with this obsolescence and a marketplace to put in relation the professionals and the companies around the new skills that we are talking about. We heard simplification and improvement of the processes. We have two specific features for that, processes and multimodality. Let's not forget that there are also regulations asking us to increase the multimodal shift and the interoperability between the different transport modes. Last but not least, there is a certify that has two specific targets. One is to certify and increase the value of our businesses. And the second one I introduced is a feature that we have trademark in Europe so far that is able to measure in real time and in a continuous manner the journey towards sustainability of our customer when they use our platform. So one tool, a mean to measure their progress via data science, AI, and many other fancy features that lays on the background. Closing up, what are the benefits of the customer by using our platform? I mentioned briefly before. First of all, is about simplification via a unique tool that allows them to achieve increased sustainability. Being able to see in real time which kind of improvement they are giving to the sustainability. This allows also them to cope the more and more stringent regulations, saving cost, time, but not least, I go back to where I start, our focus is sustainability. So we support the customer in coping with the regulation, but most of all in contributing to the increasing of their sustainability. Now, let me close up by one saying, it's good that we have here in the panel already active stakeholders and companies that are doing several actions, tackling from many different ways. But many times when we present ourselves, the bottom line is very nice, beautiful, fancy, but what is it there for me? What does it cost to me? Let's say, what does it cost not to act? There are different numbers saying that in the next 5 years, investment in sustainability will double from 30 to 70 to 60 trillion dollars worldwide. I would say what is not the benefit to the companies if we don't invest in sustainability today. So that's the end of my presentation. Obviously, thanks again, Alberto, and everybody. I am available to everybody that is more curious on us.
Thank you, Stefano. So I would like to conclude this session. I think it's been very interesting to learn from you. So I would like to thank all our panelists. I think what I got from your speeches is that sustainability is not a cost, or at least is an investment. That is something that we have always in mind. And I'm very happy that all of you have this kind of attitude in the management of your businesses. Second thing is that the best way to reach the sustainability goals is to cooperate. Cooperation, both in terms of actions, both in terms of communication, and maybe also reporting, as our friends of PTS class has highlighted at the beginning of our session. So I hope to have the possibility to cooperate in the future with all of you, in all these fields, for the success of your businesses, of our territory, and of course, for the safety of our planet and of future generations. Thank you again.